Welcome to my channel everyone. In this video we are going to talk about SUI, Avalanche, HBAR and Dogecoin. Things were exciting, so make sure to watch until the end. Why that? Because everything was exactly as predicted. So let's just start with SUI. So I lied a bit, exactly as predicted. Very close, very close. We have thought about SUI that we are going to get a bounce. This bounce didn't reach our area. For HBAR and Dogecoin it was far more better, but we have said once we break to the downside, $3.61, afterwards $2.52, then we should sell off first into the purple box, $3.30 to $3.36. If we are also going to lose this box, $3.08. Look where we are right now. Look what kind of bullish divergence we have. A bullish divergence is if the RSI is forming higher lows in the RSI. In the chart, we are seeing lower lows. Ignore those red trend lines here. I will make it in a different color so you don't get fooled by looking into it and think that this is a huge red candle. This is not the case. This is just the measurement of chart pattern, which directed us into $3.08. So I'm currently in long positions. Why did I do it? Bullish divergences on the 1 hour chart. On the 4 hour chart we also have bullish divergences and are also oversold. If we now look into the upside, we have fair value gaps. We also have a lot of liquidity to take over the tops right here. So basically, since the market dropped so much, I can expect a nice bounce. And while we get this bounce, we have to see if it's going to be impulsive or if it's going to be corrective. If it's going to get corrective, then we have another chart pattern, which we afterwards, we are currently long, but once we break it to the downside, then we can get into short positions for a bigger movement to the downside. But if we are just taking, not even this fair value gap, let's just take the lower part of it, $3.52. If we just take it from the current price mark, this is still a lot. Where is it? Right here. Still a push of 12% from the current price level. I'm not talking about the lowest low here, then it's a bit more. But there is still a good chance in the 2 digits to make some percentages. Also, if we are talking about leverage, then you have to put leverage on top of it. So, perfectly predicted so far. Now we have to see if we are going to see the bounce, and then if we are going to push 12%, if we are also going to break to the upside and get bullish chart patterns, then we can actually take out the top here, and my personally price target $4.25. But the $4.25 is not my primarily scenario right now. I would be even happy if we just get into $3.50, but it depends on how we get up. It does not depend on are we going to see the $3.52 or not. It's more about in which kind of way are we going up. Are we going to get some bullish chart patterns? This should be a bull flag. I failed this one, and we break it to the upside, then we can measure new targets which directs us for higher prices. This would mean that this was here low, and we are in a new bullish cycle in the short term. So we have to see what SUI is going to do once we lose the $3.08 to the downside. Then we have to see, I think the $3.08 is a good support. The next support I see in this market stage, so basically it is the $2.85. There we can also drop. But what I can also think is that maybe we are going to see lower prices than $3.08 on the very short term. And short term means just for a couple of minutes or even 1 or 2 hours. Just to fish all the stop losses which have built up in this price area here, just to fish them, to liquidate everyone, and then boom, this can happen. So keep this one in mind. Just because the $3.08 is support, it doesn't mean that it has to hold. It can also break to the downside for a short term. It can also, like to fish all the stop losses, the liquidity. It can also be afterwards a sustainable breakout where we can see far lower prices. Keep that in mind. But still, I'm in a long position and I'm going to increase my position size once we are going to break the resistance at $3.23 to the upside. And then I have to see if I'm going to find some other kind of trend lines. I don't have any other trend line on the chart. For example, this one is a very sharp one, but if I'm good profits, then I can also use this one to increase my position size. The next good price mark is the $3.41. There we can increase our position size into the push between $3.52 to $3.60, in my opinion, for SUI. If we now look over Avalanche, for Avalanche we were thinking maybe a chart pattern like this is going to happen. And we have talked about this chart pattern when we were up here. So up there we did a short trade. We were thinking $28.38 is going to get hit, afterwards small bounce, and then we should break to the downside. Instead, Avalanche made a nice move. This kind of move. In the end of the day, I still think that the 28.38 is going to get hit. From here, you can see at how many fair value gaps we have. I don't want to promise you that the fair value gap up here is going to get hit, but if the crypto market looks very bullish, then it might be even possible that we are going to take out the tops right here. The issue with Avalanche is right now that I'm currently in a long position, but I can't find any kind of trend lines or resistance where I can scale up my position size. This one right here could work, but this is still far away in my opinion. Oh, it even looks far more better than I expected, but otherwise I don't see any kind of trend lines where I can increase my position size. So I have to hope for that we are going to get up, form something, a smaller chart pattern where I can draw a trend line, then we break it to the upside, then I can scale up. So here's the price mark, $30. If I'm not into a long position right now, then I would use the $30 to get into one. If I'm currently in a long position, then I would use the $30 to increase my position size. Also keep in mind $28.38. We have a huge fair value gap lower than us, even down to $26.90. It might be possible that we are just going to fish all the stop losses here and from here get an impulsive push to the upside to liquidate all the short positions because we are currently far too overshorted. You can also see it in the funding rates. I'm also looking into funding rates, but I also got here a new indicator. I'm not able to take it, maybe like this, and now it can work. Yes, exactly. So for funding rates, we are always saying 0.01%. If the funding rate is there, then for sure the long buyers have to pay every 8 hours, 4 hours, 2 hours, yeah, it depends on the coin, but they have to pay funding rates to the short sellers. This is a healthy funding rate, 0.01%. That's why you see also here a trend line with those dots. If we are lower than 0.01%, then the market is overshorted, and once we get into a negative funding rate, then the short sellers have to pay the long buyers funding rates. This always means market is overshorted and we should see a bounce soon. In this case, the RSI is also oversold since several hours. If we go into the 4-hour chart, we still have more space to the downside. That's where I say $28.40 is still possible. But then we are also oversold, and then we should see a nice bounce for Avalanche. HBAR can't be better than we have predicted so far. We have said about HBAR that we can see a nice bounce into the 24.3 cents. From there, we should sell off. Once the 23 cents breaks to the downside, 20.5 cents is going to get the target. Let me just draw you here a trend line from 20.5 to the right side. Look where we went, exactly into the target. Yeah, it's happening, I don't want to say quite often, but still it can happen. I'm always taking profits far earlier because there is also the chance that we are not going to see this, but in this case it worked so far. We are also having bullish divergences, higher lows in the RSI, lower lows in the chart. We also forming a falling wedge. So basically, in my opinion, here is a good chance that we are going to see at least the 23 cents again. This is the minimum target in my opinion. Just for the bounce, this is still 10%. If the chart pattern is going to get in play, then we are talking here about 24.5 cents from the current price mark. This can still be an 18% push. That's why I'm already long into HBAR, and I'm looking for some nice resistance trend lines. Once we break it to the upside, then I can scale up my position size. And for the first increasement, I would use the price mark of 21 cents. Once they break to the upside, then I think this scenario is going to happen with a very high chance. From there, we have to see if we are going to sell off into our 17 cents or if we are in a new bullish cycle, get a new top over the ones right here, and then we have to see if we are going to see a major crash before we get the altcoin season for HBAR. So far, everything is exactly as predicted, and I can expect a bounce very soon for HBAR. If we now look over Dogecoin, then we have also said about Dogecoin that we should see here in consolidation, get up again. Yeah, we didn't hit the 27.3 cents perfectly, but we were very near to it. Afterwards, 25.9 cents broke to the downside. Target was actually the 23 cents to 24.3 cents. You can also see it. This here was support. We didn't manage to break it to the downside quite a while. Then we finally managed it to break it to the downside, and we got lower prices. Here was an old target of an old chart pattern. We also hit it. I can take it out from the chart. And we lost some good support. This one right here. Pretty good support. So what I can imagine is we are in a huge support box. Yeah, I can't draw here a support trend line because in this market stage right here, there is overall support. Here's support. Here's support. So everywhere is support. We can bounce anytime soon. What I'm going to do is I'm already in a Dogecoin long trade. I'm not taking the price mark of 22.6 cents to increase my position size because this would be near to my average price. I would actually like to use a different one. I don't know which one right now because I want to actually wait a bit longer for another price movement, and then I can maybe draw another trend line which I can use for a breakout to increase my position size for Dogecoin. For sure, if every coin is going to break to the upside and Dogecoin is also going to do it with a retest, then I can also consider taking a long trade for Dogecoin, but this would be just based on that every other coin is also going to pump. Also here I can imagine for sure we can get a bit lower prices, but also here bullish divergence in the RSI. If we now look into the 4-hour chart, we also have a bullish divergence so far, like this. And if we look into the 8-hour chart, then we also should be oversold. Not really. Can still drop a little bit more. Then we are also oversold in the 8-hour chart. And from here should see higher prices. Where it's going to go, and if the push is going to get impulsive or corrective, we don't know it yet. The only thing which we know is that we have a huge fair value gap between 25 cents to 25.8 cents. So the chance that we are going to see this area is quite high. If we take it from the current price to the lowest, it's still 12%, 12.5%. To the upper part, 16%. If we are going to form more bullish chart patterns, like for example this falling wedge, and if we are going to take the target of the falling wedge, then we should see here the 27.3 cents again. So this red trend line, resistance, perfectly. Then we are talking here without scaling in 22%. And once we break more to the upside, then I can scale up my position size for sure, and then huge profitable trades are possible. We just have to see if this movement is going to get corrective. If yes, and if we see, for example, a rising wedge which breaks to the downside, then we can use it here as exit for our long trades and get into some short trades, because we still have it on the chart. The 18 cents should get hit one day. I can't just tell you right now if it's going to happen in one crash like this, which I don't expect. This is not my preferred scenario, but it can also be that if we get some impulsive movement, that we are going to see this area here again, and from here sell off a lot. This is a question which I can't answer you right now. This is not because I don't know what is going to happen. It is more like I'm missing the data to analyze it, because we are very short-term. In my opinion, the win rate for cryptos is far higher if we are looking short-term. Yeah, I'm not talking about a 5 minutes or 50 minutes chart. I'm talking here about 1 hour to 4 hour charts, because cryptos are very volatile. Cryptos can invalidate chart patterns very fast, especially if we go into a longer time frame. Yeah, you can maybe think back 1 year ago or 2 years ago, how often people thought that this was the dip, and we are going to see the altcoin season, and then we lost another 70% to the downside, then we just pumped 50%, then again 30%. So basically predicting cryptos in the long term is very, very difficult, and in my opinion not possible. Those people on YouTube most likely are just going to get clickbait. They are doing clickbait because they earn money from YouTube. In my case, I'm doing short-term trades. In my opinion, day trades are most likely what I'm looking for. I don't want to be in trades too long, but if the chart pattern and if the market situation is telling me that I have to be in a trade for several days, then I'm also going to be in a trade. But for sure, perfect scenario is a chart pattern breaks to the upside and we get within a few hours a 10% push. Then I'm out of the trade very fast and the day is done. That's how I trade. And if you also want to start trading, then I can recommend you the crypto exchange mexc. So with that said, in the next update, we are talking about Render, Tau, Kaspa and ONDO.